One of those bills would require law enforcement officers, including federal agents, to not wear masks. And the other one would require them to identify themselves with a badge with their name on there or their officer number. Now, supporters of both bills say this could increase accountability and safety, but critics say this may also put the officers at risk.
And that's what they want. They want to try to have them show their faces so they can dox them and cause problems for them and their families so that they don't want to work and be ICE agents. But the only thing is, ICE doesn't work for the state, they work for the federal government, and their state law cannot overpower a federal law. It's a lot to unpack, but let's get into it. But before we do, subscribe to the channel.
One of the most controversial elements of immigration operations here in Southern California, complaints that federal agents aren't identifying themselves and aren't showing their faces.
California legislature passed 2 bills designed to change that. NBC4's Amber Frias live in Santa Ana now with reaction from both sides of this debate. Amber.
Hey, Colleen, Michael. Well, one of those bills would require law enforcement officers, including federal agents, to not wear masks. And the other one would require them to identify themselves with a badge with their name on there or their officer number. Now, supporters of both bills say this could increase accountability and safety, but critics say this may also put the officers at risk. Volunteers with the Orange County Rapid Response Network say they were alarmed the first time they saw immigration officers wearing masks back in May. They say they weren't sure who they were dealing with.
They could not disclose which agency they were from. They also could not disclose their badge number, their names.
So now, Sandra Deanda says she is relieved the California legislature has approved 2 companion bills aimed at stopping that from happening. The first, Senate Bill 627, authored by Senator Scott Wiener of San Francisco, bars on-duty law enforcement, including federal agents, from concealing their faces.
It undermines public safety, and you should always be able to tell the difference between a law enforcement officer and a guy robbing a liquor store, and these ski masks make that distinction part.
Do you see how the left is just so ridiculous, saying that they can't tell the difference between someone robbing a liquor store and enforcing the law? You can clearly tell from what they're wearing. They have on badges, they have everything. It says sheriff, ICE, it says everything on the vest, but they want to try to make it seem like the situation is worse than what it really is.
The second measure, Senate Bill 805, written by Senator Sasha Perez of Pasadena, requires all officers to wear visible identification.
We made clear that if the federal government is not complying with these laws, that people have the right, to a civil action to bring forward a suit if they're not able to identify who these federal immigration agents are, and that there will be fines and penalties.
Exceptions would be made for SWAT teams, undercover officers, and CHP officers. But not everyone supports the bills. Senator Tony Strickland of Huntington Beach says they put law enforcement and their families at risk.
This would be another reason not to go into law enforcement, because a lot of these folks, they don't want to put their families in jeopardy.
And that's why they're doing it, to try to deter people from joining ICE. The less people that they have, they feel like the less immigrants, illegal immigrants, can be deported.
In a statement, DHS responded to the legislation by saying in part, quote, passing an anti-law enforcement bill is dangerous and prioritizes criminal aliens over law-abiding citizens. They went on to say, quote, every ICE officer clearly identifies themselves and wears a visible badge, end quote. Still, immigrant groups say the risk to officers are outweighed by the risk to communities.
But it's absolutely necessary.
And we reached out to Governor Newsom's office to ask if the governor was planning on signing the bills, but they told us they were not commenting on that. Now, the governor has until October 12th to sign the bills. If he does sign both of them, the one requiring officers to identify themselves would go into effect immediately. The one prohibiting officers from wearing masks would go into effect in January. Reporting live from Santa Ana, Amber Frias, NBC4 News.
California is wasting tax dollars. They know that they can't enforce a state law against federal employees. It's just ridiculous. They're just trying to slow down deportations, cause problems, and tie up the court system for no reason. they want to try to slow down deportations and it won't work. But if you enjoyed today's video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.